firstly, Terry, it's great to chat to you, a legend of the Irish Rugby Sevens game. Can you tell us a little bit about your reaction to the announcement by the IRFU that they're no longer going to continue with the Rugby Sevens program?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew the writing was on the wall for a decent bit of time, just hearing a little bit in the background, but to see it come out so abruptly and kind of ruthless was quite disappointing. I think I finished up playing after the Paris Olympics, so not directly affected as much as the current group of players, and also future players coming through that won't get the same opportunities that I was afforded and that a lot of my mates were too. So it's disappointing. I think in general the players were a little bit blindsided by it and didn't see it coming. Again, they were aware there was probably going to be some changes, but to have the full program cut was probably not what they expected.
Can you tell me as well where the main funding comes from for the program? And, was funding cut? Did you lose a big sponsor? What kind of, I suppose, preempted this?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not too sure. I think David Nucifora, who obviously finished up as the performance director last year, he was a huge advocate of Sevens and was one of the main drivers of it within the IRFU. It seems that since he finished after the Olympics as well, the whole emphasis on Sevens and the push around it definitely faded a lot, and they pulled back a lot on everything this year. In terms of the general funding, it's fairly, as far as the sports team go, it's pretty self-sustaining, and it doesn't cost the IRFU a huge amount in the grand scheme of things. They get funding from World Rugby for being on the World Series. They get funding from the Olympic Council due to and Sport Ireland due to the Olympic success, and then there's private sponsorship as well. So with all of those three, I think that covers most of the costs. And I mean, with the numbers the IRFU throw out around an 18 million deficit and whatnot, that is definitely the men's sevens program definitely isn't a large contributor to that. I imagine it's a drop in the ocean compared to some other costs. So I don't think cutting the men's sevens program is going to make a huge difference to the finances of the IRFU overall.
So correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seemed to be that their statement was kind of suggesting it was down to finances, that there was a big hole in this budget and that it wasn't essentially worth promoting and going with the sevens again, despite the fact we can go back only a few months, a year ago, qualifying and doing well in Paris, being tipped as potential medal contenders, and at one stage being number 2 in the world. Surely that's a giant kind of change in direction from them.
It is, yeah, and I think it's amazing to see just what a change in leadership with David Nucifora finishing up, how that can impact so many people. Just a change of approach and what they think is worth investing into. As far as the finances go, I think Harry McNulty's done a fairly deep dive on it all, and is probably going to put out some information later today on that. And I think that should give people the figures and the information they need to come up with their own opinion on why the program's been cut.
And especially in a time when Irish rugby, on all scales, whether we talk about the men's 15s game, there's been great improvements in the women's 15 game. There's been great success in the women's sevens game as well. You would think finances would be quite good. So is this a bit of a smokescreen to kind of almost an excuse?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly comes across that way. And it seems like the guys who are running the RFU just don't have an interest in the sevens game and don't see it as a pathway and a way to grow the game in Ireland, which I very much believe it is. And I think in general, there's plenty of nations around the world that are, bringing in a a fraction of the revenue that the IRFU are, and yet they're able to run sevens programs sustainably. I mean, you even look at Spain, for example, this year. They've had an absolutely amazing year and ended up coming third, I think, in the world, and they've managed to keep the same group of players for years and years. So they're running financially smooth in that regard. So it's amazing to see that, you know, a large union like the IRFU can't do the same.
And also, I know you mentioned as well in your little statements on social media about foreign players coming in. We've seen some big names playing in Irish rugby over the past few years, and there's some funding that's been definitely going towards them.
Yeah, and listen, and that's not a dig at them at all. I think it's great that they come over and bring you know, a new excitement around the teams here. But I think for the IRFU to come out and say the men's sevens program is going to be cut because of funding, and then at the same time they're obviously bringing over players of that caliber, which you know, they're not coming over for small money. So yeah, I think it is that kind of smoke and mirrors aspect of they're just diverting attention from things like that.
What's the players' reaction? I'm sure you spoke to some of them who are in the squad at the moment. I believe a lot of them are still contracted for the next month or so. What has been their reaction? Are they gutted? Are they a bit lost about what they're going to do?
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I think it's important to treat people how you'd like to be treated yourself, and I don't think the IRFU have done that in this regard. I think compassion and empathy would have gone a long way in speaking with the players over the last few months while all of this has been going on, because, you know, this isn't a quick decision. They've obviously been making this call over the last number of months, and I think they mentioned since the Olympics there's been a review process going on. That review process hasn't included any of the players, hasn't included any past players like myself, hasn't included any of the staff, as far as I'm aware either. So I think the players were a little bit blindsided, and they would have appreciated being kept in the loop a little bit more. And I think the way the news came out and broke so abruptly is pretty brutal for them. So yeah, pretty disappointing for all of them. And obviously now they have to figure out what they're going to do pretty quickly now over the next couple of months.
And the timing of that as well. We've seen a number of clubs in England struggle and go under, release players, which obviously floods the market. We're in May. The season is pretty much done and dusted. So I would assume the provinces already have locked in exactly who will be in their squads for pre-season. Are players really going to struggle? Are they going to have to drop down to All-Ireland League? What do you see most of these guys who are obviously talented enough to represent their country going to do? Could some of them drop out of the game completely?
Yeah, I mean, like sevens, the salaries aren't huge. So that's why it's incredible that they pull the financial excuse, because more or less all the players on the team are working outside of sevens, whether that's coaching, working a second job. Some of them the younger guys are still in college as well. So a lot of them at least have that to fall back on, but that's only, you know, part-time work for the most part. So a lot of them are going to have to figure out. So I'd say some of the older guys will finish up. Some of the younger guys might get some opportunities, but as you said, it's the timing. If they had been told a few months ago that, listen, this might happen and we just want to keep you up to date, which is, in my opinion, would have been the sound thing to do from the IRFU. Then at least they would have had time to plan and figure out and look into contracts elsewhere. And if they did want to keep playing rugby or go into the 15s game, they could have planned a little bit more. So for it to happen this late in the season, when all the other professional teams around the world they'll already have their squads for next year and their allocations and budgets already done, it doesn't really give many of the players a chance to continue on the rugby pathway. So, you know, they're going to have to look elsewhere.
And listen, finally then, where do we go from here for the sevens game? Is that it? Do you think there's any chance that it might, you know, this decision might be reconsidered by the IRFU? Is there a way of putting a team together separate from the IRFU? What's the future, Hans?
Yeah, no, it seems like the writing's on the wall here. Unfortunately, I can't imagine the IRFU will go back on their decision. They'll probably just wait for this to pass, and yeah, I don't know, in the future maybe they'll revisit, but I think for the time being it seems like it will be cut. And I'm not sure of the implications if there was a possibility of it being privatized. I think, you know, if that was a possibility, it would be certainly worth exploring, but I'm not sure how that would work.
Okay, Terry, great to chat to you. We'll keep our fingers crossed that decision is reversed in some way. But look, we might chat again in the future if there's some further news on that.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate it.
Okay.